Welcome back to Percona Live 2023. We are in Denver, and right now I have Roger Barga, and he is from Microsoft. He's going to tell us about a whole bunch of new things that Microsoft is doing with open source and MySQL.
Hey, thanks, Dave. It's great to be here with you today to talk about this. I think one area that I wanted to start with is looking at the relationship between open source software and cloud providers, because not all cloud providers are approaching this in the same way. We fully respect the integrity of MySQL code base. Our team does not invest time in trying to change it with proprietary code that would lock our customers in from moving to some other on-prem or to some other runtime that they might want to move to in the future. So we fully respect keeping the open source software as it is. Where we spend our time is thinking about how to make that software, the MySQL software, run optimum on Azure, because we understand Azure storage, we understand Azure networking, and that's where we're trying to innovate, is that integration of how MySQL runs on our cloud services to give our customers the best performance. And just a couple examples of how we've done that is we have active dialogue with the Azure Storage Services team about the services they're building and how they can optimize the performance. We make choices behind the scenes to move our service forward. Today we run on something called Azure Premium File Storage, and a simple write by our customer to their database replicates that database in 3 different availability zones in a region for high availability. And we just recently launched a new feature that will allow our customers to set up a disaster recovery zone in another Azure paired region. That's with the click of a button. Customers don't have to figure out how to make Azure do that, how to actually set up a failover. We do that for them. That's the kind of simplicity. That's where we're trying to invest our resources. And just 3 announcements we've made within the last few weeks, just to show examples of this. One of the first ones was we just announced data migration services to bring MySQL databases from on-prem, from AWS, up to MySQL on Azure. And we've talked to these customers, and we understand that the MySQL customers the developers often the manager for the database. They don't have a big IT team.
Yeah.
This migration just has to work. So we set a very high bar that within 3 attempts, they'll have 100% success rate and minimal downtime. Just how can we just make it easier to get on to our database as a platform offering for MySQL without customers having to write any code. Once they get there, one of the things that we're hearing from our customers is that they needed the ability to manage their own keys, security keys for encryption at rest. By default, we started by just using Azure managed keys. So we would generate a key and let the customer use that key to access their data. But we started hearing from customers, well, actually they needed to have control over the key, customer managed keys for regulatory reasons. And so just in the last couple of weeks, we have offered customer managed keys where a customer can go to the Azure Key Vault. They can create their own key that meets their standards that they have full control over. Now their data will be encrypted at rest with their key, so they're compliant with any regulatory rules they have to follow. Again, they didn't have to think about how to write that, how to implement that. We've done it for them.
Okay.
Something else we've just announced within the last few weeks is a major version upgrade. Being able to take advantage of the latest versions of MySQL. Customers are chomping at the bit when they're ready to make that move, but it still can be a very challenging experience moving from one version of MySQL to another. This service that we offer for major version upgrades, it's one click, minimal downtime, and we basically will check for compatibility issues with the customer's app and the new version of MySQL and tell them, hey, we see compatibility issues. Again, how can we make it as easy and as seamless as possible to go from one version of MySQL to the next?
So if I'm on 5.7 right now and I'm worried about the October end-of-life deadline, one click and you'll tell me what I need to upgrade and to change before I can go to 8.0.
That's right. We give you a complete guideline for how to set up a backup just in case there isn't a compatibility you didn't catch. You can roll back to your previous version. We keep that customer on rails, minimum downtime, minimal amount of work to do it. And again, an integrity check to say, hey, here's some issues you may encounter based on your code, and a very clear run book for you to follow. That's where we think we can add value. Again, it's MySQL, but how do we actually make it simpler and easier for our customers to run so they can actually spend their resources building apps and actually moving forward? Another thing that we're stepping up to, We want to be able to move as fast as possible. When new major versions come out and even minor versions of MySQL, we're going to work quickly to get that into the hands of our customers, because then as that innovation's happening, we want them to be able to move quickly. And again, going back to the beginning, that's one of the advantages of not trying to go in and put our own stuff in MySQL. You can't move as fast. In some cases, you may break customers. We're just drafting behind MySQL and actually instead adding value around that.
Yeah, one of the banes of my existence was one of your competitors had their own specialized version of MySQL. Yeah. And when 8.0 came out, there were some features they didn't include. And for 18 months, I kept hearing, when are they going to have this? It's like, yeah. I talk to their engineers, they don't talk back to me, so I don't know. Okay, so I decide I want to go to Azure and all that. I take a small changeover. I just have a MySQL dump and take it to you, or use the shell dump utilities. Yeah. If I have a couple terabytes, any special things to upload that? Yeah. Can I replicate from my on-prem to yours and then cut over to that?
Yes, you can. So there's a couple different things here. We do support data in and data out replication, so customers can actually replicate from MySQL on Azure back to their home office, in case they might want to have a hot standby locally and do some local workloads, or vice versa. And when they want, they could make a cutover at that time. They could use our data migration service tooling. And I'll be candid. We are working our way up in terms of database sizes and complexity. But if you have a database size 1-2 terabytes, you should be able to migrate without any issues with 1 or 2 attempts with very high percentage, over 98% success rate. And we'll continue pushing that envelope with subsequent releases of this to actually make it simpler and simpler for our customers to migrate their workloads. And again, be able to set up a replica on-prem. To be able to set a disaster recovery failover in another zone. Today, we're actually doing Azure paired regions, where Azure has said this region is paired with another for disaster. We're actually later going to allow you to choose whatever region you want to have your disaster recovery copy in as well. Again, we keep talking to customers, what do you want to do with MySQL? Not the core engine, but around it, and how you do want to run your business and focusing our resources there.
Very cool. It sounds amazing, especially all the one-click stuff. And this is on various Linux distros and Windows, I take it?
Just Linux. Just Linux. We're completely embracing open source. We know that's where our customers want to live today. They like to have that control. We're doing some innovative stuff like, can we tune Linux using machine learning for MySQL, all the parameters for that particular Linux distro that you're running on, but it's not on Windows. We're completely a Linux and open source from soup to nuts.
Okay. FreeBSD an option, or?
I'll have to double check on that, sir.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we support FreeBSD at Percona. I don't think we do. Sounds really interesting. If we have someone who wants more information, how do they contact? Do they just go to azure.com or azure.microsoft.com, or who do they get?
You do indeed. We also have a YouTube channel, which we're both talking about our product, but actually helping developers. We're talking about debugging tools that we're making available and how to troubleshoot your MySQL on Azure. We have a customer growth team and success team, which will work closely with customers as they're evaluating and ready to make the journey. We have cloud solution architects who are willing to help out as well. Just trying to make this journey as easy as possible for our customers.
Well, as an old timer who grew up in being told, all I needed was 640K to program in, Linux, Microsoft, that's kind of a thing, but it sounds like a wonderful offering.
Yep.
Anything else we should point up that we skipped over? Something
we just shared today, and again, it'll try to show the direction that we're going to be heading even with MySQL. I think, as we've all heard, in the last decade, we have created so many disparate tools for doing data analytics and data processing, and we have so many sources that our data live in. I mean, it's like almost an n-squared problem, where the n is a very large number of tools and sources we have available. And it's actually getting very cumbersome for an individual to be able to do business analytics and get insights out of their data. Today, Microsoft announced the public preview of Azure Fabric. Azure Fabric is basically a single place to come do all of your data analytics over all of your data. At the heart of it, Azure Fabric is something called OneLake. OneLake can bring data in from all data sources, including even Amazon S3, and bring it into OneLake into a Delta Parquet format, against which all of our tools for analytics can operate, from Synapse to Power BI to our machine learning tools. So somebody does not have to think about how to get their data from these various sources. It's already in OneLake in Delta Parquet format. All of our tools can work against that format. the analytics experiences are both incredibly performant and fast, but we're also looking at how to reduce the costs. We're not asking customers to provision resources from all these different data sources and analytics tools. They simply have an Azure Fabric credit, and whatever they're using can be applied against those credits, simplified billing, lower costs, and we've even got Copilot integrated so customers literally can do their analytics. And I encourage you to go look at some of the demos with natural language, asking questions over their data, not having to care about where that data came from. And natural language will actually generate the analytics to actually produce it and even make recommendations for how to actually do additional analytics queries against the data. The experience is brilliant. The speed at which it operates is blazingly fast. No hardware, no instances you have to worry about. How do you make things simpler? We can't wait to see MySQL data appearing in OneLake, again, so that it can actually be part of a customer's data estate and they can do all the analytics they want without having to figure out how to get that data out of their operational databases.
So it's automatically stored in the analytic format that you're going to use. So it's unlike someone else's product called HeatWave, you don't have to go back and do an alter table and to get all the data changed over.
That's right.
Wow.
Right. The data just appears. And again, if you look at, when we look at our customers, there's a very diverse base of customers that are using MySQL, but a lot of them are using it for e-commerce. A lot of them are using it for content distribution. They are clearly going to want to ask, what articles do people like? What products are we buying? What's our inventory like? What are the trends like? Could I actually build a machine learning model and actually put it into my business to monitor MySQL, make predictions about when to order, or make predictions about what's hot and trending? All of those workflows are supported by Azure Fabric. But again, the data came from MySQL, and whoever was using it did not know how to think about how to get data from these operational databases. So again, we're not ready with putting our operational databases in now, but that's a future I think is going to be really exciting for customers who have made a bet on MySQL, but also want to do a lot more and get a lot more insights out of their data.
Very cool.
Yeah, exciting stuff.
Well, thank you for coming to talk to me today.
Thank you.
And this sounds like a great advance for Azure. Thank you.
We look forward to it, and we're really pleased to be part of the MySQL community. It's a very vibrant community here that we've seen here at the Percona Live. It's great to be here, and we look forward to working with everyone going forward.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.